Hey guys, Dr. Prometheus here, back this time. Well, the stuff for Madden 24 is not released. I know I got hit with the bug last year of not being able to play because of the draft bug, so that kind of sucked. But we're gonna go through the deep dive. There's a lot of franchise stuff that's new. I'm not sure how gameplay is going to be, but we're only going to look at everything in the franchise deep dive. So what we're going to be doing is looking through the video, kind of giving my thoughts, and then we'll kind of wrap it up with the text. So to kind of give you an idea, I also have to move this football manager one out because I'm going to do a football manager one. That was big. So this is what we're going to be looking through. I'll kind of show you in this one. So it's the Madden franchise deep dive. So we're going to be going through this whole thing, but we're going to be looking at the video, and EA, don't kill me, but we're going to be watching the video wise. And the biggest thing with the franchise deep dive is we're going to actually pause it at times. So let's actually look at this.
Requests that provide more control and authenticity throughout the mode. Today we'll share details about franchise progression through training camp and minigames, team building updates including improvements to trades and free agency, as well as overall franchise customization. Training camp is one of the most requested features among franchise players, and it's officially back, along with new minigames in Madden 24. During training camp before the start.
Okay, so what this kind of gives me the idea of is, okay, it's all in here. And you have your target passing, your pass portion, your rushing attack, your receiver battles, things like that. Position battles. I know they kind of did something like that with one of the traits. Like, say, Jamar Chase had it in, I think it was last year's, right? Might have been the year before. But the idea with a guy like Jamar Chase coming in the league who's new rookie, and actually having that trait to where he's like a rookie starter or whatever the trait is, that's cool and all. But I want that to be something in here. Now, maybe that is the fact in here, because as you see here, the rookie snaps, the rookies are getting a boost. So that's good there. The biggest thing with me in these is, what does the AI actually do as a basis? So the AI will do this, the same thing. But what is the base? Does the AI only get bronze, or does the AI get silver or gold? Is it customizable? Because this might come to a situation where if the AI only does bronze and you're doing gold, I mean, this is a massive XP. Now these are coins. I don't think those really matter. I don't think these do anything in the franchise. But I mean, look at this. If they don't get skill points with that, and then the rookie snaps are only this, and you get 1500, and you keep on getting the gold, I mean, that is massive. If it's as hard as, say, Road to the Show is, where it's still at expert difficulty, and even with Road to the Show and MLB The Show, it's fairly easy after a while. A couple of drills are difficult, but we'll have to kind of see how this is in the beta. We're still probably about a month to 2 months away in the beta, not the beta, but the early access portion before the season. We have about 80 or so days from preseason, I think, technically. So I could be wrong with that. It might be 80 days until the regular season. But we'll kind of have to see. I like the direction this is going. We'll have to see how it's implemented.
Start of each season, you can run players through a series of mini games to improve different positions on your roster. Stay a step ahead with rushing attack. Enhance your special team skills with field goal and punt accuracy. Practice escaping defenders in backfield survival, fine-tune your footwork in wide receiver DB battles, and polish the rest of your skills. A bronze, silver, or gold minigame performance will determine your rewards, which could include XP, skill points, and other team progression items. During the season,
one thing I didn't see in there, and we're kind of refer back to this. This is the full list. There's nothing with linemen, offensive linemen. Now that creates an even bigger issue with these moves. Now, offensive linemen, the trend in previous Maddens was just to draft the best trait, because that's just what's going to be. The best trait itself is the thing that's going to get you kind of the top on that. But there's there's nothing there. And linemen are the one thing that doesn't progress as fast as anything. I think they progress based on snaps. So that guy that is a developmental guy, he is only getting XP through this. There is no trait to run him through this. Is he defensive line in the trench battle? It's just defensive line and linebackers. There's nothing for your offensive linemen. So, about to see how the offensive linemen kind of are set.
Minigames are part of your weekly strategy, so you can continue to progress your focus players throughout the season.
Okay, so having your focus players actually get this, and it's less XP with no skill points, that's actually cool. Okay, I'm with that. The weekly training being more so of this. Okay.
In Madden 24, we've rebuilt the trade system with more trade slots and logic tuning, enhanced free agency and contracts, and expanded draft.
Okay, so let's look at this. What's expanded? Okay, so I'm not seeing anything that's kind of expanded off the bat.
And contracts and expanded draft class generators, so you can replicate team building moves made by real NFL GMs. In Madden 24, we've added 3 more trade slots.
Okay, so this is big. The adding of trade slots. One of the biggest issues with this is definitely, obviously they're just showing something right here, but the trade logic in Madden is not very good. Now, they talk about putting a slider in to kind of make it easy all the way to hard. What does that mean in practice? Now, one of the fundamental issues with that is, say you had 277 overalls that were high in development. They were a superstar. You could pull him in for a guy like Jalen Hurts that is mid to high 90s, and something like this would be allowed. And like the Eagles making a trade like this, absolutely silly. Like this, Jalen Hurts is their franchise quarterback. Gainwell is one of their big running backs. Nolan Smith literally was just drafted. There's no reason teams should be trading rookies until their second or third year. And that is even debatable, because at that point, you're talking about maybe your 4th year he's traded because you don't want to pick up his 5th year option. So maybe that's it. But one of those things like training camp holdouts, that's not a thing in Madden. And that is kind of a shame. That's one thing I liked with, say, NFL head coach, which I think was also an EA game. And back in 06 was the one that I played on PC. And you also had 09 that was for console. I think Xbox 360, I think, was the one that had it. But the biggest thing is you have no dynamic portions that happen. No one's going to request a trade. No one's requesting a trade here. maybe that's going to be in there. And maybe you can do something like that where someone does request somewhat of a trade, but what you'll have is someone requests a trade, but they'll still play for you. And that's weird. Someone who, there's not going to be any holdouts. So a guy be like, maybe I should be traded, or maybe I want to move to a Super Bowl contender, but he's not going to hold out and not play for you to trade him. So you kind of can just play him until week 8, trade him, and you get half the season for him. It's kind of weird.
So you can offer up to 6 trade assets, including players and draft picks, to help land the perfect players for your scheme.
There it is. This is my example. Dell, who's a 75, Stingley, who's a 78, and Mason, Jack Mason, who's an 84, and 2 firsts and a second. Like, for this, for Aaron Donald, the best pass rusher in the league, this is silly.
The new iteration of free agency also enables more authentic competition with new AI.
Okay, so 5th-year options, it was kind of there, but it needed to be expanded upon in a way. Franchise tags, we'll see what those improvements are. AI enhancements, I wonder how that is in practice. We're probably not going to explain much, but we'll see. And in negotiation tactics, that could be good.
Enhancements, like team building that improves franchise tags, 5th-year options.
Okay, so the 5th-year option portion is actually in here. That is good. Now, exercising a 5th-year option on a player from an event that where maybe you want to pick up a 5th-year option out of a guy because there can be 1st-round picks, and maybe you had 2 or 3 1st-round picks, and it only gives you an option sometimes to only do 1. Like, you might want to pick up that 2nd or 3rd player's 5th-year option. And maybe in that case, I'm not sure if it works this way, but I think also if you trade someone, you should be able to exercise their 5th-year option as well, if I'm not mistaken. And that was also something that was not in the game, where if you traded for a rookie, say in his 3rd or 4th year, because he just was not cutting it, you would not get an event for a 5th-year option, or you would, and it just wouldn't allow you to have your own player. So I'm liking the portion here that you have this negotiation status actually in the player negotiations at the end of the year. We can exercise the option. That's a good thing. I do like that. Let's see if those players you trade for are also there. Also, in this, telling me how many players contract expires. This is actually a good UI. This is helpful, so I don't have to look at. So I have 1 active, I require 1. I have 2 active, I require 1, and 1 guy is going to be contract expired. Maybe this isn't add. Maybe I have 3, and then only 1's required. Or maybe I have 2, and out of the 2, we'll have 1. We'll kind of have to see how that kind of counts it, but I am all for it. Here, I'm guessing. Actually, my answer is already here. Actually, it's probably not. 4 tight ends typically. I don't know. We'll see.
Option selections and free agent negotiation tactics. Redesigned salary cap management aligns with the NFL rulebook and includes the additions of top community requests such as contract restructuring.
Okay, this is massive. I wish I would have more a restructuring that can extend, but this is a start. So what I mean by that is I think this restructure is based off his current contract. You can't actually have an extension and a restructuring at the same time. In some cases, you'll have guys that do that, but maybe you'd have to restructure and then renegotiate. We'll have to see how that works, but having something like this with George Kittle and actually having a guy like him be able to restructure and things like that are good. I like this.
Now teams have more tools to use for retaining the core of their team and keep their Super Bowl window open as long as possible. We've expanded draft class generators for more variety in player pools and addressed feedback by implementing additional 99 club prospects, multi-talented utility prospects, and generators based on some of your favorite football legends. In Madden 24, coaches and player personnel.
Okay, so we'll have to see how that is. There is some expansion on this as well. That's why we're going to go through the end document. But there's a lot of stuff with that whole thing. So we'll have to go through that one by one.
Now have access to a third talent tree and a variety of new talents.
So the talent tree. I'm actually not very big on the talent tree. Now, I think for the offensive, I'm just not big on it because if you get a full talent tree, like it's massive, but then you're also doing something like this and player personnel. You're really just upgrading your player personnel first and foremost, so you can get things like unlock a player resigning who's not interested. If he's not interested, you're not going to be able to sign the guy. He's just not interested. And I wonder how often, even the past couple of years, the AI was using this. Because if it was a situation where it was Washington, who was last in division, and you had a guy like Daron Payne, and he said he didn't want him to go, he wasn't interested in staying because he wanted to go to the Super Bowl contender. Was he being locked up because of it? Like, that would be a weird thing. And that is what I have issues with the trait. The offensive defensive coordinator, maybe. I know they're more sometimes a little bit position based, and that's how they kind of did it. Where you can have a quarterback guru, things like that. But just a player personnel one, this one is absolutely ridiculous. It also, I'm sure there's scouting stuff also, and that is even like, that makes scouting completely ridiculous. So I'm thinking from a realism standpoint. But let's be real, EA isn't looking for realism in this. They're looking for gimmicks. And it makes me sad that this is the gimmick we have of an RPG element, because people they want something to upgrade in that, because the game is just, game of football isn't enough. I don't know. I expect more realism, and we just aren't going to get it.
For offensive and defensive coordinators, a new position guru tree elevates a single position with a choice between 2 skill paths. These improvements give you more ways to find good coaches and to develop specific positions. New customization.
Okay, so let's look at that really fast. I'm not sure we can get a frame of it. So I think what this is actually okay, so here it is. Running, secure the line. So I think these are the, now this is weird. Sorry if I hit the mic there. So you have a receiver guru here. But then you have offensive line and running. It's just mix and match trees. That's weird. And these things are gonna like boost medium route running. I mean, I just want more realism, to be honest. And this isn't a realistic way to do it. It's just not.
Offensive and defensive coordinators, a new position guru tree elevates a single position with a choice between 2 skill paths. These improvements give you more ways to find good coaches and to develop specific positions. New customization options like team relocation and commissioner tools give you more control in franchise mode. In Madden 24, team relocation has been revamped. Now you can relocate in coach mode at.
So I do want to say I don't really relocate anything like that. And I don't plan on ever doing really a relocation with it, but you can relocate as a coach. So
We're continuing a multi-year journey to deliver more commissioner settings in Madden 24.
okay, so these tools look good. So free agent motivation impact. So this is big, where you determine how much motivations affect a player signing. Raising impact makes it easier to sign and more difficult to sign players with a lower interest. I think I'm going to jack this up to low. You also have a trade difficulty now, which is nice. So maybe that trade difficulty goes down to normal, or maybe it's low, something like that. That could actually help a bit. I guess the only way to really get the staff talent cost modifier is to jack it all the way up. I don't know.
New commissioner tools like draft class.
Now this is a big thing, and we are definitely going to experiment with this. So we could do something like, hey, if we see in this that we're having a bit of an issue, say with too many tight ends, too many tackles, maybe jumping up the running backs a little bit. Because one thing fundamentally in Madden is you'll have a running back that is like 24, 25, and when we go 5 to 6 seasons in, by the time he's 30, he's still the running back, the premier running back for that team. It's rare that you'll see someone that isn't on the way to a superstar or an X Factor rarely ever get moved in any way. For example, I don't think Zeke was actually cut at any point in time in any of the franchises I've seen the last 2 years for me. And that is a position to where the draft is the premium for a lot of teams. For example, David Montgomery was only on his first contract, if I'm not mistaken, with that. The man was an absolute monster. He was one of the highest running back yardage rise in the league last year, barring the fact that the Bears were one of the highest rushing teams in the league, but that is besides the point because of Justin Fields also. But in that, the Bears moved off from David Montgomery and went with Khalil Herbert, who had just as good as a season with yards per carry as Montgomery, just didn't have as many carries. And then they would have had drafted one too, the guy out of Texas. So you're looking at a situation where a guy that should be a starter, like David Montgomery, he would start in the Bears for years unless there was another superstar X Factor that was higher that just somehow got on the free agent because there was an issue with salary cap space. That's the only time you'd see those guys. And I wonder if putting this up to higher, if we're going to see more rookies, because maybe it's just going to completely wreck it. I don't know. When we're talking about offensive linemen, tackles, let's see how the progression is. I have no idea.
Strength settings, toggle auto reorder depth charts, offensive and
Okay, the reordered depth charts was absolutely enraging last season, in the last couple of years. So I'm glad that's fixed.
defensive play call settings, as well as progression and regression.
Okay, did you see that? Because I did. Home field advantage. Thank you. You can turn it off. I can have more realism.
As well as progression and regression sliders provide more ways.
So progression and regression. So maybe this is how we're going to have to do it. But the thing is, it doesn't really do anything for rookies. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. Youngsters aren't really going to get it. I don't know. We're just going to have to mess with it.
To set up leagues the way.
In regression rate, you could jack it up a little bit more for running backs just to kind of make that issue where players are recycled out. But we're talking about 29, 20, 30 years old. That these guys are really going to hit the regression wall. So realistically, I mean, they'll get drafted at 22, 23, and then they'll be the running back for the entire time for that team, which is silly.
You want to play. We're excited about all the franchise updates in Madden 24 that give you more control to build a winning team the way you want.
Okay, so that is the video stuff. Let's kind of go through with this. So we kind of went through the weekly strategy. I'm liking that. I don't like the fact that offensive lineman, for whatever, is taken out of this. So I get it. Offensive linemen don't have many games because it just wouldn't be practical to have it, but I guess that's why that's not here, because these are playable mini games. I don't know. So additional train tuning. So they did say they're messing with the value and how many improvements, so we'll actually see how that is. And there is an extra year of draft picks, so you can go 3 years out, because technically you can do those things on draft day, so you can go 3 years out. So they had generated offers for your players and opposing players, so they've included improvements to that functionality. We'll see how that is. The trade tuning rules have to mess with it and see how it goes. And yeah, one thing also is you couldn't actually look at that trade and edit it like you can in MLB The Show. You kind of have to select the trade and like back out of it, and it takes you to the trade. It's not very intuitive on the show, but on this you would have to remember what the trade was, go back 2 or 3 screens, go in there, manually do it, and then add players like that. And it's just the easier you can go from one to the next and readjusting the offer, the better. I do like the fact that they did talk about some graphical stuff, and well, Dan Campbell's finally in the game, so there's that. I don't think he was in last year, so it was one thing. The depth chart reordering, that was one thing that was an issue. We'll have to see how the draft class technically is. Okay, the offensive and defensive play call settings allow you to actually put the limits on how many are on offense and defense. I mean, the coach asked the coach thing has to be improved. It always gives you the same. It won't actually give you different plays in each one. Some of those will just give you double plays in there. And you can turn a situation where if this is turned on, you can have a situation where you scroll through 3 or 4 pages in the ask the coach or whatever, and a quarter or half of those plays you can't do because it's literally recommended you plays that, well, you can't actually run. So the fantasy draft, we don't really do it, but this is cool for you guys that do fantasy drafts, allowing a snake order, which reverses the order. So it's drafting 1 to 32. And then 32 to 1, 1 to 32, and 32 to 1. So it kind of flips it back and forth, which is actually pretty cool. So the impacts and motivations, we'll kind of see how that goes, but I think we're gonna mess with that. It looks good. Now the trade difficulty is just easy, very easy, and hard and very hard at raising it. So there's 4 settings. We'll kind of see how that is. Here's one. We saw that we can turn on and off home field advantage, which is nice because I don't like it. Yes, it's hard to kick the ball in Soldier Field, but it's not that hard. For the gimmick of having the kicking stuff disappear is just silly, especially when it rarely affects the AI. Regression size, we'll have to test those. I do like this for you guys that do online saves, is being able to set the number of free agents the team can negotiate during each stage. You can go 1, 5, or 1, 3, 5, 10, or unlimited, which is kind of cool that you have an ability to kind of adjust that. Draft timer, turning it on and off. That's good. I think we are going to actually abide by the clock in this Madden, just to make it a little bit, just to make the fact that I have to organize my draft board a little bit. Def generators, we'll kind of see how that is. But one of the things that are cool in this, so let's kind of go through this. So we do some of the best products ever to appear in Madden. Okay, we're going to continue to provide use the ability to find these gems and cover the gaps that we're unable to fill in at 23. So generational prospects available at every position with new generational prospects across the offensive line and at fullback, tight end. Okay, ready to start immediately with the highest possible dev trait for their position. I don't like this idea because now you just get a lineman that just has a dev trait, and most of the time you're just going to start them. There's no real reason to start anyone else, because they will eventually be better in a year and a half, and catch up to a guy that's in the 80s in about a year to 2 years. The 99 club is cool because this is only for specific areas of their game. So we'll kind of see how that is. That would be cool. It could be a little game breaking if the speed and the hit power at linebacker, since linebackers make a lot of hits. So the utility portion are cool because you can have that Taysom Hill type, which I think would be pretty cool with that. You don't really see, you can't really run any halfback passes or anything like that. It would be cool to, or in the fact of the matter with receivers, it would be cool to run those plays because there's a couple of receivers that actually were quarterbacks in high school or college that were actually transferred over to, say, receiver or running back, things like that. Injury prone prospects, so injuries might actually happen more. We'll have to see how it is. That's just a test we'll have to do. Wait frequently which each archetype can generate its position. Okay, now this is cool. So you don't have those random quarterbacks around the middle of nowhere. So tune the college selection for top tier QBs to weight bigger schools more heavily and reduce the amount of top QB prospects from mid-major and lower level schools. I kind of noticed that tons of QBs more often than not are coming from mid-tier to lower tier. You have the couple of players that are like at the tippy top, maybe one or two are from legit schools, but not all of them. So you'll have a guy that's from a lower level school and he'll sit there and be drafted 1 overall, which is silly. Okay, normalize all prospects. Okay, this is good. Default morale and the jersey number rules, which I'm not really worried about it. So if you want to know about the relocation, so you can do it as a coach, kind of do that whole thing. Here is the new 15 new cities, most of which are outside the US, I think, for the most part, or at least a quarter of them are. Logos aren't tied to the city now, the only ones being Houston Oilers, which makes sense. And then you're able to just select a bunch of different uniforms from a selection. So salary cap restructuring is good. 5th year option, which is nice. This is the biggest thing that I was talking about. It was easy to miss surprise for most users and one that was unavailable to CPU controlled teams. So it's reintegrated in the resign system and the CPU and users will have access to it, meaning CPU is also going to do the 5th year option. So that's big. Okay, kind of going through talent tree. There's nothing that's big that I really matter about the whole thing with it. Now there's a couple of things that were in here that I watched from couple of videos of other people talking about it, and that is with the one that you can take off the commissioner tools. Depth chart, looking for it. So there is also, rumor has it, it's not in here, so this might be just a rumor wise, but the momentum, supposedly you're able to turn that on and off. Momentum was a big thing for me, especially like the aggravation of having a team come in, it's raining, and you get the debuff because you already can't catch the ball, and the AI is catching the ball like it's not raining. Then you get the debuff where the receivers can't catch the ball even more, while theirs can catch it even more, so you won't even have the small random drops that should occur. They just don't drop the ball at all because they're out here playing with stickum or whatever it is. I don't know. And it turns into a ridiculous moment of playing Madden. And say that's even merged with the fact that you have rain, and then say your lineman can't block, and so your guys are not only blocking, but your guys are also dropping passes, so you can't get yourself out of that groove. Well, the AI has improved blocking, so you can't sack the quarterback, and they're catching the ball like it's not raining because that's just how Madden is. That was an issue, and there it is. It's not a rumor, it's right here. All the momentum factors. So toggling this will turn off home field advantage as well as all momentum factors. I like it. More simulation football. At least closer. Now, how the game is actually going to play, I don't know. When we look at the actual gameplay, I'm not sure if there's a lot of gameplay in it in this, where they're actually showing it, but they actually do some stuff for the gameplay, but a lot of it is a revamp on movement, and hopefully it's better. We're just gonna have to play it, because as much that as EA talks about how it's revamped, and let's just go to a full screen here, as much as EA talks about year in year out the gameplay is revamped, the reality is sometimes I just don't see it. And so we're just gonna have to see how it is. Mind you, I'm gonna be playing on console. I'll be playing on my PS5. Let's see what EA delivers, but for the most part, this is a step in the right direction. I'm thinking that since this is happening, we might also see a step in the right direction with the gameplay. However, I just don't like gimmicks, and the game is centered around a lot of gimmicks, and that is one thing that pulls me out of the immersion of Madden. And that is adding in stuff like, and this is one thing I did see that they added in, the Mahomes no look dive pass type deal. Yes, Mahomes completed a no look pass, but the man knows the routes. It's nothing crazy, but literally to put that in, or the diving one, I mean, I just want fundamental football. I don't want gimmick football. I want to see if that is literally fired constantly or not. I don't know. So we'll kind of see, but I think this is on the right direction for franchise, and we'll see ultimately what they do deliver. One thing I'd like to see is not have the inferior version on PC, which would be great. On this, it's only releasing, I think it's only releasing at this point. I'm gonna double check. It is only releasing I have to look at this because I think it's only releasing on next gen consoles, meaning there should be no reason that it should be. It's yep, it is PS4, PS5, Xbox Series XS, Xbox One, and PC. That could bode not good. The PC version might get an inferior version once again, get the last gen version, which is why I'm just gonna buy it on console. Why do you do this to me, EA? We'll have to see, but that's what they've done the last 2 years, so I don't see why they would change. So TLDR, I think we're in the right direction, but we're gonna ultimately have to see. So thanks for hanging out. This is a long deep dive portion. My thoughts, 41 minutes. We kind of skimmed through. Also, after the fact, we watched the video. It was a couple minutes, talked about it, and yeah, we're just gonna have to wait and see. So thanks for hanging out. Go and leave a like below, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Later.